This is Christopher Lloyd. I've been known to play a Klingon. Back to the Future with Dr. Emmett Brown and Reverend Jim from Taxi. You're watching As the Wheel Turns with Daniel Saletti. Great Scott, okie doke.
And welcome once again to As the Reel Turns, your place for all things movie and television. And we have got a really, really fun show for you today. But before we go anywhere, let's do our entertainment update real quick. Take it away.
Whoa! This is Zach LaChance with your entertainment update. Today's update includes 2 series and a film. Last month, The Ellen DeGeneres Show aired its final episode. Although she had sitcoms in the past, Ellen's talk show was by far her longest running, coming in at 19 seasons. The series was best known for pulling pranks on its guests, dancing in the audience, and receiving 61 Daytime Emmys as of 2021. Sorry, Daniel, looks like you missed your chance.
Actually, no, that's not the truth, Ellie.
Thank you so much for being on this journey with me. I feel the love, and I send it back to you. Bye.
The Jurassic period, yes, is coming to an end, but let's be honest, it already did. And do any franchises truly die? Not really. No. Jurassic World Dominion opens this June. It's the supposed finale of the Jurassic Park film series. The third film in the World Trilogy reunites us with the characters from Jurassic Park, Doctors Grant, Sattler, and Malcolm. Yes. Any Jeff Goldblum is welcome with me. Yes.
Don't move. Bigger. Why do they always have to go bigger?
We've been reporting on Entertainment Update about the return of the Orville. Well, good news, finally it's returned. The clearly inspired by Star Trek series, The Orville, this time subtitled New Horizons, has debuted on Hulu for its 3rd season. It's been said that although there will be fewer episodes this season, the episodes will be 12 to 15 minutes longer. So, it's a win. So get streaming to check it out. Or wait till DVD. That's cool too.
And everything's different on this side of time.
Definitely worth the wait.
This has been Zach LaChance for Entertainment Update. Back to you, Daniel.
And thank you again for doing that, Zach. That is so cool. You always bring something funny and great and Jeff Goldblum to the picture. So it is so awesome when you do those types of things. Thank you very much. So if you haven't guessed from the attire today, we're doing something very suave, and we're doing something very fun, and something that has been around for 60 years. Yes, this year it's officially been 60 years on screen for our part 1 of the summer of James Bond 007. Yes. Can you believe that? James Bond has been around for 60 years officially on screen. Now, there have been many other interpretations of Bond throughout the years, and we'll mention a few of those. But yeah, we're going to be talking about the official Eon Productions Bond franchise, all 25 films throughout the entire summer. And as you saw from the intro there, we're going to start out with the first and second Bond. That's how we're going to split it up. 2 actors per month. And I got someone great who actually knows about the Bond franchise to talk about it with today, and who is a big Connery fan at least. We got my friend who has been on the radio version of As the Real Turns, the founder of Christy Rants, Mr. Christy Riley. Christy, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me here.
My pleasure. Hey, it's great to have you on, and great that you know the Bond franchise.
Exactly.
Thank you. So let's first talk about some of the early days of Bond real quick, because you know, the early days of Bond include books. That's where the character started out, in books written by Ian Fleming, who was himself back in the day. When he was in the war, he kind of wrote down some things that may have inspired something. Sometimes maybe something in his life that may have inspired the character of James Bond. There are also some miniseries about how he created Bond and how his life based on it, but that's where the character started, and many of the books were transformed into the films that we saw, and then as they went down the line, they got more original. They came up with some original plots. So that's all well and cool that that Bond started out as a book. Many franchises do. What is your opinion about this big character starting out on book pages, and do you think that it should have started out on book pages or go straight to film?
Oh yeah, I mean, book pages, I mean, that's the best way to start for, I mean, any series. I mean, unfortunately, the biggest problem with that is that when they get adapted, they usually, you know, the films change a lot of things in it. However, here's the thing though, I mean, at least it gives you a baseline for the character, and, you know, you can interpret the way the character acts and whatnot, except here's the thing, in a lot of the early Bond films, even though they were named after a book title, a lot of the adaptations were in name only.
So these books proved to be popular. A lot of people liked them, and in the 1950s, that's when we actually got our first on-screen version of Bond in a show called Climax. Now, Climax was kind of like one of those thriller of the week type shows, and they did an adaptation of the first Bond novel, that being Casino Royale. And I believe it had a man named Barry Nelson. I think I'm saying that. Barry Nelson, yeah, okay. As not James Bond, but Jimmy Bond. Now, Casino Royale Climax with Jimmy Bond, I don't even know if he was doing a straight British accent. It's a little weak. Now, we would get another adaptation down the line, and then the big one for the official franchise. But what are your thoughts on the Climax Casino Royale? Do you think that was a wise move?
I mean, every film adaptation has got to start somewhere, except here's the thing. You know, I personally haven't seen it, and it's funny because the guy, Barry Nelson, he was in The Shining later on in his career.
Oh, was he really?
Yeah, he was. He played, what's his name? He was Stuart Ullman, the owner of not the owner, he was the general manager of the Overlook Hotel.
Oh, really?
It's very funny. And
I did not know that.
yeah, Shining's a great movie. You got to see it.
Yeah.
Starring in tonight's production of Climax, a great new hour-long dramatic series from Hollywood.
Will be at your disposal whenever you feel you need protection.
Thanks. That's very comforting. Look, would you give me some chips?
Why, certainly, Mr. Bond.
Oh, you're a legend, old boy. Cod Sense Jimmy Bond, they call you. I knew you right away.
I didn't know I had that much of a reputation.
Oh, my dear fellow, look here. How about you give me the lowdown? How to play? Over a drink? Oh, I'm very sorry. My name's Clarence Leiter.
Well, sure. What have I got to lose?
Do you ever lose, old boy? Buzz over there, lead on.
Very lucky, Mr. Bond.
Yes.
And very handsome. Tell me, has he changed much since the days when you two were...
He looks just the same.
Uh-huh.
Do you want me to talk with him now?
plenty of time. I'll tell you when.
We'll see, definitely in my opinion, that casting the character of James Bond can go in some weird ways, but that being said, we definitely got a big step up for the character, because come 1962, MGM and United Artists, more United Artists at the time, looked to two producers by the names of Albert R. Cubby Broccoli, that's his name, Broccoli, yeah, and Harry Saltzman. And they came together and made this production company called Eon Productions. Now, Eon is actually an acronym for, or abbreviation for Everything or Nothing, which will come up more in Bond's legacy. And all these companies and all these people came together, looked to a guy by the name of Sean Connery, and cast him as the character of James Bond in the first ever official Bond film, Dr. No. Now, Dr. No is not the first book in the series. As I stated, that was actually Casino Royale. The reason we didn't get Casino Royale was because Eon did not have the rights to it. But let's talk about Dr. No here. Dr. No being the first official Bond entry, and this is where we would get a lot of the Bond tropes that you all know and love right from the get-go. We have Bond introducing himself as Bond James Bond. We have the famous and awesome gun barrel sequence, which is one of my favorites. We have martinis, shaken not stirred, and then just Bond being showered with woman after woman after woman. Not to mention the beautifully sounding James Bond theme.
007.
Here's my problem. We have a British secret agent here, supposed to be from England, and we have a Scotsman playing him. Now, you know, casting, sure, whatever, but Sean Connery, Scotsman? Tell us about his performance, Christy, and tell us about Dr. No in general.
I mean, his performance, easily my all-time favorite Bond. I mean, he's the man who made James Bond. I was so sad when he passed away. He, rest in peace, he was amazing. And here's the thing about being a Scotsman. Ian Fleming actually really liked his performance, so that in the next book, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, he actually kind of made some, he didn't really make some tweaks, but he elaborated on the Bond character, and he actually made his ancestry be of Scottish origin.
So tell us about Dr. No, though.
Dr. No, one of my all-time favorite Bond films. I loved it. I loved it to death. I watched it, and I mean, it was just great. It really started off the Bond series, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And Ursula Andress is, she's,
absolutely.
Very
underneath the mango tree, make Hulu look so. La da da dee da da dee, honey and me.
Underneath the mango tree, my honey and me.
Who is that?
It's all right. I'm not supposed to be here either. I take it you're not. Are you alone?
What are you doing here? Looking for shells?
No, I'm just looking.
Stay where you are.
Absolutely.
very amazing.
Sylvia Trench.
Sylvia Trench, here's the thing, it's funny because until a new director came on, she was supposed to be like Bond's like regular girlfriend who'd be always aggravated that he was going away on.
That's funny, actually.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
But then after the next film, that trope got discarded.
Yeah, Bond has a different girl every movie. Yeah, and this started the Bond girl trend. Pick a girl every movie. Also, your over-the-top villain in the form of Dr. No. I believe he had something with his hands, possibly.
Yeah, he had black mechanical hands, and he was. And here's the thing about the original Dr. No: he's very reserved. He's not like
Yeah.
He's not running around screaming.
You persist in trying to provoke me, Mr. Bond. I could have had you killed in the swamp. And why didn't you?
I thought you less stupid. Usually when a man gets in my way.
And actually, a lot of the main Bond films, they weren't totally over the top. A lot of the early ones weren't. You know, specifically From Russia with Love.
Yes.
You know, Red Grant, he was pretty silent.
But he was still, you know, fun to be with and over the top. Yeah. And since you mentioned it, you know, Dr. No proved to be a good adaptation. It was a lot of fun. People liked it. James Bond was cool, swinging with the 60s and all that. And that would the 60s Bond with Connery, like you said, would be such a staple for so many people. And they said, let's keep going. Let's keep going. And like you said, the second book was On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
No, that was the book that was made after Dr. No.
Oh,
after
okay.
the film was released.
Oh, okay.
Ian Fleming was still alive, and Ian Fleming actually was not a big fan of the entire movie, Dr. No.
Oh, yes, that's true.
He did, however, like the performances.
Well, that's good.
I admire your courage, Miss...
Trench. Sylvia Trench. I admire your luck, Mr.
Bond. James Bond.
Mr. Bond, I suppose you wouldn't care to, raise the limit?
I have no objections.
C'est pas possible, madame.
This is, like I said before, they're choosing just books out of the air in the series, sort of. So the next one they chose was for 1963, and this one's called From Russia with Love. And yeah, this was actually one of those times where we finally, not actually in the film, but on the soundtrack, get our first official Bond theme in the form of From Russia with Love, sung by Matt Monro, which would also become another trope in these films, you know, the different singer every time, and the scantily clad women silhouettes, and just scantily clad women, period, in the title sequences. We see from the trailer here, you know, it's more exciting than the first. It's bigger, it's better, it's, you know, all sequels try to do that. As we see the trailer here, tell us about From Russia with Love.
It's, you know, I would not say it's the best Bond film, but it's definitely was excellent. I loved it, and it's definitely, the first three Bond films were very good, must-see films. You know, Natasha Romanoff, she's great. I hope that's the correct name.
I think you're close to it, yeah.
She was great. Loved seeing her, and also just Red Grant. He was, you know, he's not a. You know, he's not this, you know, he's not this over-the-top villain. He's actually, like, really intimidating.
Yeah.
You know, most of the movie, he's totally silent. He's not talking. And he's just kind of this, he's kind of built up to be this super soldier. And
yeah,
he's, you know, like, you punch him and, you know, nothing happens type of thing. And he also has this, you know, tendency to call James Bond old man. Which is pretty funny, and
oh, how the irony will hurt later.
And to think, what's his name? To think Quint from Jaws is playing him.
Keep them there.
And it's just, you know, overall, I mean, it was excellent, and you know, I did really like, you know, the whole thing, and You know, it's funny, the Matt Monroe theme doesn't play until the end credits. It's not in the opening.
Exactly, yeah, no, it's an instrumental version, but...
From Russia with love, I fly to you, much wiser since my goodbye to you.
Wow, that was beautiful, Christy. I didn't know you had the voice. Well done, well done.
Thank you, thank you.
That was very good.
One
So,
of the hidden talents.
I know one of the other famous things about this movie is I'm blanking on her name, but the woman with the pointed shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, when she attacks James.
That was
Bond.
Rosa Klebb.
Rosa Klebb, that's it. Yeah, and she attacks Bond with these pointed shoes, and that's really kind of cool. And this is also the first movie where we're kind of officially, introduced to one of my favorite characters, Q. Plays by Desmond Llewellyn.
And here's the thing: it's that actually this is very funny. If you really want to go by, super technical terms, in the first film, Q technically existed in the form of Major Boothroyd, which is his name later on.
Sure.
And he was played by a different actor in Dr. No. And then in From Russia with Love, he's also shown, and in From Russia with Love, it's Desmond Llewellyn,
Sure.
but. He's also named just Major Boothroyd. He's not called Q. He's not called Q until the third movie. It's very
Which is funny, yeah. And then, he also introduces another famous thing when it comes to James Bond, the gadget case. The famous gadgets that James Bond uses.
On the side here, flat throwing knife. Press that button there, and out she comes. Then if you pull out these straps, inside are 50 gold sovereigns, 25 in either side. Now, normally to open a case like that, you move the catches to the side. If you do, the cartridge will explode in your face. Now, to stop the cartridge exploding, turn the catches horizontally, like that. Then open normally.
And then also, of course, in these movies, the ever wish I had 'em, will they, won't they thing of Bond and the secretary of the agency, MI6, Miss Moneypenny.
Yeah, that was even done in the first film as well. That was kind of just, and it's almost like, geez, James Bond is really just, he's really just, at this point, he's kind of just screwing with her emotions. Like,
kind of, yeah.
In the whole series, he's just really screwing with
And
her.
his boss, M, is waiting in there in his office. It's like, come on, let's go.
For my next miracle, once more onto the breach, dear friends.
And one plane ticket. Lucky man. I've never been to Istanbul.
You've never been to Istanbul? No. Where the moonlight on the Bosphorus is irresistible.
Maybe I should get you to take me there someday. I've tried everything else.
Darling Moneypenny, you know I never even look at another woman.
Oh, really, James?
Mm-hmm. Let me tell you the secret of the world.
This and Dr. No, I see oh yeah, those are there. It's like, these are the ones you actually go back to. A lot of people I know oh, I don't want to start with those because they're not in the groove yet. But
yeah, but they're great.
They're great, yeah.
I love them.
In 1964, this is when things actually start going. This is the one movie that everybody says, oh, now we're getting somewhere with James Bond. Because, just everything is thrown at this one. It's simply called Goldfinger. Goldfinger is that, like I said, that one movie that everybody everybody loves. I mean, it's a simple plot. A guy named Auric Goldfinger wants to rob Fort Knox of its gold. It's so simple. Also, we have one of, if not, the most famous Bond theme ever, Goldfinger, sung by Miss Shirley Bassey, which is, yes, a great song, but I think it's overdone sometimes. We have a great villain here, Auric Goldfinger, and we have a lot of other classic elements that are introduced in this film. Christy, why does, as we see the trailer here, why does Goldfinger get so much fame and love when we already had 2 other Bond films before then?
Well, sometimes they say, even though a trilogy isn't so good nowadays, sometimes 3 times a charm. And here's the thing about it. It's that you had a really interesting villain who, even though he really couldn't speak English.
Yeah, he was dubbed, yeah.
Yeah, he was mostly dubbed, except during the trailer you actually hear his actual German-speaking voice at one point. But you have him, you have a very interesting henchman by the name of Oddjob.
Oddjob.
Throws his hat and it decapitates things.
Love it.
It just has everything. It has a great, and here's the thing, it's also different because Bond actually has a very hard time seducing the main Bond girl, name with the name of Pussy Galore.
Pussy Galore, absolutely.
And
who are you?
My name is Pussy Galore.
I must be dreaming.
You get those, what do you call them? Those innuendo names.
Innuendos, yeah.
And the biggest thing is that it has a problem, and I think in some instances, some people, it's either theorized or even said in the book that she's actually a lesbian. And,
I've heard that.
And this is where the old Bond films have not aged well. He gets her in a barn. He ends up seducing her in a barn.
Sure.
By literally forcing himself on her.
See, and you're right. That's one of the things about these older Connery '60s Bond films, which is why I unimpress a lot of people when I say, oh yes, they ask me what's your ranking of Sean Connery as on your favorite Bondometer, and I say, I'll be honest with you, he's number 5 with 6 being the worst, and they look at me like what is wrong with you? And I say, look,
I'm one of them.
Yeah, you're one of them for sure. You've told me that so many times, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why, because of what he does in those films, and he actually supports it in real life. You see him doing a lot of spanking, we'll say.
Oh yeah, in
Goldfinger.
Yeah. Anyway, so Dink say hello to Felix.
Hi, Dink.
Dink say goodbye to Felix. Men talk, and as she walks away, he
whaps, yeah.
And then she never appears again.
And that's the thing. I'm like, and like I said, Connery supported that in real life. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that, pal. But I will say this, Goldfinger did give us another staple of Bondom that is seen quite frequently a few times throughout the series, starting in this one. We are introduced to the Aston Martin DB5, one of Bond's classic cars, having, a bulletproof shield, machine guns in the headlights, and the famous ejector seat.
Ejector seat? You're joking.
I never joke about my work, 007.
Anyway, so yeah, that's something really fun about it. But yeah, no, I agree. There are so many good things about this movie.
Yeah, another.
Goldfinger, he's the man with the Midas touch, a spider's touch, such a cold finger.
This is the very first time this is the first and only time Connery did this. He orders a vodka martini shaken, not stirred. And this is the first time he does that. No, also this is the second time he says Bond, James Bond.
That's right.
He only says it in Dr. No, Goldfinger, and Diamonds Are
Diamonds.
Forever. The other three, he doesn't say it.
But at least he said it.
Yeah.
And he ordered the drink correctly for Bond.
Yeah, and Roger Moore never ordered that drink, believe it or not.
People ordered it for him, but he never ordered it himself.
Yeah.
Jill?
Choose your next witticism carefully, Mr. Bond. It may be your last. The purpose of our two previous encounters is now very clear to me. I do not intend to be distracted by another. Good night, Mr. Bond.
Do you expect me to talk?
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. There is nothing you can talk to me about that I don't already know.
Goldfinger is a lot of fun. You did mention Felix Leiter. Yeah, this is another appearance by him, who is a CIA agent, so he's American, but he works with Bond, and he, like Bond, have been played by God knows how many actors, starting with actually Hawaii Five-O's Jack Lord. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and Dr. No.
Dr. No, yeah.
Great character.
So, how bad could they get after the high that was Goldfinger? Well, they may have sunk a little bit, actually, according to you anyway. 1965, and you're seeing a trend here by having a Bond film every year. That's you never see that nowadays. But 1965, Thunderball. Now, Thunderball comes with a slight comma. First of all, I want to talk about the gun barrel sequence here. For the first 3 films, you actually had a stunt double by the name of Bob Simmons doing that gun barrel, but you just saw it right here. Connery is now doing his own gun barrel, so about time, pal. Thunderball coming with a slight comma. So we know about Broccoli and Saltzman producing these films, but there was another producer there. His name was Kevin McClory. Now, Kevin McClory, he said, I want rights to one of these movies, and he said, I'm taking Thunderball, and you can't take it away from me. So, the Thunderball also has a sea theme. We have a lot of underwater shots here. Am I on the right track with that? Is it like a sea theme?
Somewhat, yeah. They do have there's a lot near the water. It's pretty tropical and whatnot, and there's another problem. And here's the thing, the main theme by Tom Jones.
Tom Jones
was
absolutely
amazing. I even did a music video in high school for this.
Did you really?
I sure did. It's the goofiest thing ever.
My mother now likes you a lot more.
And the Bond girl in this one, she's dead too. Claudine.
Domino.
Yeah, Domino.
Domino.
She's I was trying to say the actress's name. Here's the thing is that I was not a big fan of Thunderball personally, and actually my friend Brendan, who who also has watched a bunch of Thunderball, he actually admits to falling asleep during this movie.
Huh.
It has a cool jetpack, except
the jetpack, yeah.
The biggest, and also you get in for a while very unique thing in which Bond indirectly kills a woman in this, in which Fiona Volpe.
Oh yes.
Fiona Volpe, he drags her in front of, he knows he's about to get shot and he knows she's a bad guy. So he drags her in, so while he's dancing with her, he puts it in front of her and she gets shot.
Yes.
And then he
Mind if my friend sits this one out? She's just dead.
A lot of people loved this, and they even remade it in Never Say Never Again, also with Connery, but which I admittedly have not seen because it's not an official one, and also also Burn in Hell, Kevin McClory. Maybe that's a little too
So
extreme.
what is the deal with Kevin McClory?
I think, you know, he was probably just a man who just really wanted. He really wanted the rights to everything, and he decided, I'm just going to ruin the Bond series. And I mean, I don't know what his deal was, but if I had to guess, he was probably one of those kids that wasn't popular in school, and he wanted to just have revenge and take back what he wasn't given in high school. And yeah, I guess that's my theory about him.
That's one theory for sure. But there's some good elements that you could speak on behalf of Thunderball. In all these films, obviously you have the James Bond theme throughout, and we have a great version of it by John Barry, who did 17 Bond films or something like that.
Oh, he did a lot of them.
He did a lot of them, and so that's really cool. He kept on coming back for a few of them.
He always runs while others walk. He acts while other men just talk. He looks at this world and wants it all. So he strikes like thunderbolt.
I know the villain Largo in this film, he kind of basically did an unintentional staple in the form of, I'm a bad guy, I have an eye patch.
Yes.
Every Bond fan film or parody has a villain with an eye patch now.
Yeah, even though it was rarely even used.
Exactly. So it's like, that's kind of fun and that's kind of cool to see that. It doesn't necessarily sound like the film you would want to start a new person watching Bond with.
Yeah, and I remember there's these parades, and I remember just laughing at how stupid their parades were. They've got these people with these I don't even know what it is, but they're going and they're just walking down, and I remember just laughing at it, and I'm like, oh, what if? And then Bond's running through the parade.
Of course he is.
I really don't. But yeah, I mean, I don't have much else to say other than great theme song.
Great theme song, yeah. Tom Jones, you can't ever beat Tom Jones. And the thing about Tom Jones singing Thunderball is that the ongoing myth rumor thing is that he passed out when singing the final note of the theme song. Now I don't know if that's true or not, but
yeah, I don't know either.
But it's a great song nonetheless.
Great song. One of the best.
Could they redeem themselves after Thunderball? It was hard to do, but they did get somewhere with it, and this would be the 5th film now in the series. So they've been going on for a while, and they skipped a year, so that's not every single year. 1967 now, for a film called You Only Live Twice. Now, see, I always walk up to people and oh, what am I gonna do? And well, I guess I have to do fill in the blank, and oh, you only live once. I'm like, no, you don't. You only live twice. And they look at me like, what's wrong with you? You don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, You Only Live Twice. There is a heavy theme in this one. Japanese. We're in Japan now. And we finally get to meet a villain that has been shown on screen throughout most of these movies, but never fully. We've only seen a pair of hands and a white cat. Yes, this is finally the first film where we get a full-fledged look at Bond's supervillain, Ernst Stavro Blofeld, first here played by Donald Pleasence. And we may get a look at him here in the trailer, but There's obviously a heavy Japanese feel for this movie, Christy. What was going on for this, for You Only Live Twice?
I guess, I mean, you find yourselves in a lot of different places. You go into a bunch of different, places in the Bond series. There's even one movie where they go on like every continent. And only problem is that, they just, except here's the thing, I like this movie a lot better than Thunderball.
Yeah.
And, Donald Pleasance's performance as Blofeld, I'd say he's the best Blofeld.
Oh, I agree.
He got the, he's intimidating. He's got that voice of just, he's got this really calm, like almost nervous-like voice. He's amazing.
Because Connery will come after him.
Yeah, and he's just, I mean, I love it, and there are some faults, and I love how in the beginning you think Bond gets killed and he fakes his own death.
And that happened in Thunderball too. They open in on his funeral, I think, or something like that.
I think they open in on something and it says JB.
JB,
on the casting. I don't know. It's just been so long since I've seen it, but I did like You Only Live Twice a lot better. I thought it was full of action, and he's got some, he gets two girlfriends who are Asian, and one of them. And one of them he ends up being with, who I think he marries or something in the film, and here's where the film it gets kind of goofy goofy and racially insensitive by today's standards.
Oh boy,
James Bond becomes Japanese.
That's the point I was going to bring up. Yeah.
Here's the thing: you look at him and you laugh because there's no plastic surgery, there's nothing. He's just got these bushy, pointed eyebrows and black hair. And you look at him and you're like, what? And I'll be honest, it kind of ruined the Bruce Lee movie Enter the Dragon. Because there's an American character in that, and he just looks like Bond when he became Japanese.
Where is Bruce Lee in these movies? That would have been fun to have him.
I agree. I mean, he could have, and there's also, a lot of good fight scenes where he's running, except the biggest problem that I had with one of those shots is he's running on the ship and he's beating up these guys. And if you look closely, he kind of just does this, and they just all go boop, and they all just fall back.
They don't want to mess with him.
Yeah, I mean, it's very good. The movie I really liked, and it was, and he's flying the helicopter. That was
the whirly bird or whatever it is.
You see Blofeld's cat, and from what I heard on the set, he actually apparently, I think during the explosion, I think the cat ran away.
Oh, jeez.
And I don't even know if they even found the cat. They might have.
Oh, great.
I think they did find him. I don't really know what happened, but the cat ran away.
Allow me to introduce myself. I am Ernst Stavro Blofeld. They told me you were assassinated in Hong Kong.
Yes, this is my second life.
You only live twice, Mr. Bond.
Target vehicle passing over central Russia.
They'll do more ridiculous things as the movies go on. And there's a movie that we'll talk about next month that, is, I'll just say is out of this world. But keeping that in mind, this film has a few space elements, if I'm correct. And it's funny that, oh yeah, You Only Live Twice, we'll let that slide. And then, later on down the road, when the big space Bond film comes out, we're like, oh, no, we can't, no, that's just ridiculous. We can't accept that one. Now, do you think that's necessary that, we give this film a pass, but we give the other one that includes those elements so much flack?
I mean, here's the thing. Moonraker, it had so much to do with space. It was like overboard, and I'm pretty sure in the book they don't even go to space.
Of course not.
And but I don't really know. I can't remember any space elements necessarily. I know they're in a volcano.
The big volcano set is another big thing from this movie. You know, having a villain's giant lair and stuff like that.
Oh, fun fact! I think if I'm not I think this is who it is. The Rock's grandfather was in You Only Live Twice.
Was he really?
Played one of the bad guys.
That's funny, actually.
And I think it was Peter Maivia. I think it was who did it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that's hilarious. And yeah, I think The Rock, or maybe it's Vin Diesel's grandfather. I get those two confused.
One of those big bald guys.
Yeah, and The Rock didn't used to be bald.
That's right.
And Vin Diesel's been bald for most of his career.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of their grandfathers, was in the film, and I think today they want to play a Bond villain.
I think they should both play a jacked up Blofeld because they're both bald. I think that'd be awesome.
You only live twice, or so it seems. One life for yourself and one for your dreams.
You know, You Only Live Twice. It's a bit of a finale of sorts because this would be Sean Connery's final film. He had done 5 films at the time, and he said, guys, I'm done. I can't do any more. And so they didn't want to stop the franchise because, we can't do that. So we thought, well, okay, let's open the casting call for new Bonds. So they looked down the line and they got a bunch of calls, and then one guy walks in. One guy. He says, "Hi there. I actually went to Mr. Connery's barber and I got a similar haircut." Yes, we can see that. "So tell us, where are you from?" I'm from Australia." "Well, okay, he still answers to the Queen. That's in the Empire there. Okay, that'll work. Let's keep that. What acting stuff have you done?" "Well, that's the thing. I haven't done much. I've done a little bit of modeling." "Okay. And have you done anything else? Like a commercial here or there back in Australia?" "Okay. Is there anybody else out there?" "No, nobody else." "Okay. And so, sir, what's your name?" My name's George Lazenby." "George, nice to meet you. You are Bond James Bond."
Good morning. My name's Bond. James Bond.
So, in 1969, Broccoli, Saltzman, MGM, yeah, you're cringing over there. United Artists, whoever, all came together and said, "We got a new film with a new Bond, and this one's called On Her Majesty's Secret Service." Now, despite resignations about this movie or reservations or whatever you want to call it, I actually like this movie. I do. I think it's a really fun movie, and it's a milestone movie, and we'll get to that reason in a little bit. But yes, we have George Lazenby here. George Lazenby, I don't know what they were thinking. He kind of just conned himself into the role here. And he is famously and extremely wooden in this movie. Now, the plot of this movie is basically Blofeld is back, now played by Kojak himself, Telly Savalas, and we might see him in the trailer here. And he's basically trying to form this. He's kind of like drugging these women, sort of, that you see around Bond here.
Another thing that hasn't aged well.
Yeah, and all while that's happening, he falls in love with this movie's Bond girl, the Avengers, not Marvel, the secret agent show, Diana Rigg. Diana Rigg does a great job in this movie. Lazenby, yeah. And there's Telly Savalas. And the reason this is a milestone film, fair warning, red alert, spoilers about to be told right here. James Bond, for the first and only time, gets married to Diana Rigg, and about, I'd say, what?
Couple minutes later.
Oh, Matt, you cut the trailer at the best part of the trailer. Come on. No, I'm kidding. Yes, about a couple minutes later, She is gunned down, shot dead, and the movie ends. Yeah. Now, that's a very heartbreaking part of the movie, and that's why it's such a milestone. Now, obviously Lazenby's performance is going to be a part of this, but why do you not like On Her Majesty's Secret Service?
Okay, time for a rant.
Oh, goody, a Christie rant.
Okay,
yeah.
so here's the thing.
Nobody's got 4 hours to spare. Literally, no one cares. It doesn't make any sense. Just let it be. What were they thinking? What were they actually thinking? What? Why? I just don't get it.
A lot of people, including Christopher Nolan, actually do like this film and thinks it's one of the best.
Me.
Unfortunately, I don't see any proof of that. That is just... First of all, this movie is proof that bad acting from Lazenby can ruin a film. Here's the thing, he was born in Australia, but he was mostly raised, however, in England, so he probably did have an English accent. But here's the thing,
Barely.
it was just like, my biggest problem was just, you know, he had bad acting, he botched the character, and, you know, no acting experience doesn't help, I think. And here's the thing, with Telly Savalas, I'm sorry, he's not Donald Pleasance. A lot of people do. He probably did a fair job, except instead of giving him the scar, and I get the problem. I get from what I've heard, they do plastic surgery on Blofeld every while, but they decided instead, hey, let's just make him without earlobes. It's like what
earlobes?
What can you give him something a little more intimidating than no earlobes? Like there's probably many people who do not have earlobes, and they're not in the least bit intimidating.
Or attached or unattached.
To begin with, I was born without earlobes, a well-known congenital distinction of Beauchamp ancestry.
There's 2 goofy scenes where he's hypnotizing the women and he's going, now rest, 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 rest. He says that over, and my dad and I were laughing and making fun of it.
But first you must rest for a while. Rest. Rest. Rest.
And during the skiing scenes, which, no, they're not that bad.
I love the skiing scenes.
In one part where a guy falls over a cliff, and it spends like 10 minutes watching him fall into the oblivion. Oh, and it's the stupidest, it's the most goofy.
Der Hund, schnell! Der Engländer ist abgehauen! And then eventually, when Bond runs into what Diana Rigg, I
Tracy,
can't remember.
yeah,
She runs into
Rigg, yeah.
Tracy again when she's skating, and the only time she actually looks kind of good in the movie. No offense to her, but
I have a thing for Diana Rigg in this movie.
But here's the thing: he is like sitting, he's like hunched over, like with his coat, and then she goes,
James. Darling, you're in trouble. What is it?
There's people after me.
Can I help?
Have you got a car?
and I'm like,
bad people.
I'm like,
there's bad people after me.
You are James freaking Bond. Like, just Connery would have just blown all of them away and not even thought about it. There's people, okay, just, oh my,
And
other problems with this is that when they start like falling in love, he and Tracy, it's the stupidest thing. It's like a series of vacation videos of them in a million
the montage,
exotic locations, and it's like, what?
All the time in the world, time for love for life to unfold all the precious things love has in store.
I don't even get the. And this is one of the longest Bond films.
It is very long.
Until Casino Royale beat it, and then Skyfall and Spectre, and then No Time to Die finally capped that. And just,
you gonna be okay over there?
And I do appreciate that they have references to some of the older Bonds.
Yep.
Because it kind of reminds me of other Bond films that I could be watching instead of this.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, you know, with all, well, I guess that means you love the movie. No, I'm kidding. No, I mean, there are certain differences. I mean, people might ask. People don't even know half the time about Lazenby. I mean, you know, Lazenby also here is famously known as the one-off Bond. He did one film and hit the road.
Thank God.
Rumors say he even quit halfway through the movie.
Yeah, he actually, what happened was he was actually offered a 7-picture deal.
Yes.
And if that happened, the Bond series would be dead if that were to happen. However, actually, maybe there's a chance that he probably could have gotten better as time went on in those films, possibly. But his agent, who has his own Wikipedia page now because of this, and he's known best for this, warned him not to do it. And so he said no, and I'm like, thank God.
Well, I mean, you know, the other things about this movie, the other things I like anyway, are the fact that, well, one disappointing fact is that he really doesn't use any gadgets per se. He has a safe cracking device that is incredibly large, actually, because I think we saw a smaller one in a previous film, that's weird actually. Lazenby, every Bond wants to do a different gun barrel sequence, and Lazenby famously does the one knee, which could be a wink, wink, nod, nod. To
Sorry to interrupt you. Yeah. But the other thing I hated about it, he got on one knee, which was stupid. What is he, a cop? He's a secret agent.
Oh no, I thought he was proposing.
And here's the.
He's proposing. That's a reference.
Yeah. No, the reason why he did it was because he was trained by like police or something.
Really?
And then the other problem with the gun barrel is that the blood completely covers him.
Yeah, he disappears, which is different. Speaking of wink, wink, nod, nods, that is a famous thing about this movie. The fact that in the pre-title sequence, there's a pre-title sequence after each gun barrel, and then the theme song, which there was no singer for this one. This was just a straight John Barry theme, which I like, actually.
I like it too.
I like that. There's a famous line said by Lazenby.
Love this one.
This is the pre-title sequence. Basically, Tracy appears to be walking into the ocean. She's trying to drown herself, almost looks like.
Yep.
Bond saves her. There's a fight actually with some other guys who come on this beach, and then she ditches him and drives off. And she actually runs off so fast that she loses a shoe. Bond picks up the shoe and looks off into the distance and says,
"This never happened to the other fella."
Some people say it is a clear reference to Sean Connery, breaking the fourth wall somewhat, saying, oh, this never happened to Sean Connery. The other weaker reference, side to this, you could call it, is it's a reference to Prince Charming in Cinderella. The fact that Tracy left one shoe, Bond is this dashing guy who comes up, picks up the shoe, and notices.
Actually, if I'm not mistaken, isn't it both of her shoes?
I thought maybe it's both. Maybe it is both. But what do you think? Is it a reference to Connery or Prince Charming?
I always like it as a reference to Connery.
Yeah.
You know, reminds me of other actors' movies that I could be watching instead of this. I mean, I could rip on this. We could just spend the rest of the show just completely ripping on the rest of it. I would. Oh, and here's another thing that I just thought about. Speaking of Bruce Lee a little bit ago.
Sure.
George Lazenby was actually trained and had a black belt in, I think, martial arts, and he was trained by Bruce Lee.
Really?
And actually, Lazenby was supposed to have dinner with Bruce Lee the night he died.
Well, he does have some great fight scenes in there in this movie.
Yeah, kind of.
Some pretty good ones. The other element of this movie I actually like a lot is that even though it's jokingly referenced in a later film, this is the only Bond film that really emphasizes and is included into the plot, sort of, Christmas. And, I always think that's kind of nice. Now, you talked about the ice skating scene, there's bad people after me. But I also think it's kind of nice because, the two of them are getting together. It's Christmas time. They're at a Christmas fair. They're in the Swiss Alps, I believe that's where they are. And it is just a nice scene between the two of them. It's Christmas time, everyone's having a great time. And there's even a song, a weird one at that, on the soundtrack called Do You Know How Christmas Trees Are Grown?
Merry Christmas. Maybe you should have been gift wrapped. Merry Christmas, 007.
The reason why in the winter rain will freeze and the trees will die. Do you know how Christmas trees are grown? They need sunshine and rainbows, friendship and kindness, and most of all, they need love.
I understand your points about it, but I think it demands sometimes a second viewing because although it's wooden, he does have a few, very few, good lines in this movie. The marriage and death is such a staple because Tracy is going to reappear in ways throughout further films. And Lazenby himself, he looks pretty good. I think he looks pretty good in this movie. Except for his Seinfeld ruffles shirt and his kilt. That's a little weird. I haven't seen any other Bond wear a kilt before.
Yeah, that's...
The bride and bridegroom, Mr. and Mrs. James Bond.
First a boy and then a girl.
It's Blofeld. It's quite all right, really. She's having a rest. We'll be going on soon. There's no hurry, you see. We have all the time in the world.
Anyway, so you're right, though. People agreed with you a lot. People were a little unimpressed with Lazenby. They liked the movie, but they were unimpressed with Lazenby. And so since Lazenby hit the road, they said, okay, we did a lot for On Her Majesty's Secret Service. We referenced the book a lot. There was a lot of book stuff in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Let's reel it back here a little bit and let's see what we can do for our next film. What film do you want to do next? Let's do Diamonds Are Forever. Don't roll it yet. Let's do Diamonds Are Forever. Okay, cool. We like that. Who do we want as Bond?
Adam West.
Yeah. Things to quickly mention though before we get into the actual film. Some of the actors they wanted for Bond were impressive. We got like Adam West, Batman. We have Dick Van Dyke. We have Cary Grant, who was the first choice ever. and a whole bunch of others, and they all said no. So we could have gotten some great ones. But anyway.
Oh, and so did Dumbledore.
Yeah, Richard.
Michael Gambon.
Michael Gambon. Yeah. But yeah, no. So they said so. In my head, we have one intern in the back of the room saying, "What if we bring back Sean Connery?" He quit. Well, what if we paid him money and then basically made the movie awful? Okay, fine. So they called up Sean. He said yes. We'll pay you lots of money. He said yes. So we got 1971's Diamonds Are Forever. Now, we were talking before the show, and this has become an ongoing joke between you and me and others. Diamonds Are Forever is a field trip of something. We don't know what it is, but it's a field trip of something. It's about basically some stolen diamonds, and we have, like I said, Sean Connery returning to the role of Bond. We also have Jill St. John as Tiffany Case. We have older Bond, actually, older Sean Connery, because this is after 1967. And we have Blofeld once again, and if you know me well enough, Christy, you know what I'm gonna do right here. We have Blofeld played by not Donald Pleasance, not Telly Savalas, but indeed Charles Gray. Yes, that is an old joke from the radio show that I missed that joke.
Yeah, Charles Gray was previously in You Only Live Twice.
Yes, he was.
I think a one-handed man.
So, we also have a lot of weird things in this movie. We have a henchman duo, Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd, who are supposedly a gay henchman, which is different. We also have a lot of scenes in Las Vegas. One of my favorite lines right there in that scene. We also have some very strange lines said by Connery, said by Jill St. John. And we also have some shots on a moon base. And some very odd girls here. We have some girl fighters by the names of Bambi and Bumper. You tie that all up with a song sung by Shirley Bassey again, which is not the best song in the world. Tell us about, with all that in mind, what the heck is Diamonds Are Forever?
I hate to say this, I do stand by this claim of I will say that I can't remember her first name, but something Wood. It was
Lana Wood.
Lana Wood.
Lana Wood.
Lana Wood.
Natalie Wood's sister.
Plenty O'Toole.
Plenty O'Toole
was a lot. I thought she was a lot better looking than Tiffany Case, but that's just one man's opinion.
And you like this movie?
It's stupid. I agree, but
it's so stupid.
It's one of those films that you just can't help but love because it's so bad it's good. Because it's just got so many goofy stuff and like Mr. Kidd, Mr. Winton, Mr. Kidd, there's a lot of references.
Are they gay?
It's not outright stated, but there's so many. At one point, they're holding hands, and at one point, and it's funny. Mr. Wint, the younger man in the duo, is actor Crispin Glover's father.
I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see the relation.
That's his father, and he says. And it's so funny. At one point, I think Mr. Kidd says like,
"They're both aboard. I must say, Miss Case seems quite attractive for a lady."
And there's a lot of references to it, and I don't even maybe in the book they straight up say so, but there's just so many like so bad it's good moments. Like there's one where they like go on like the side wheels to like go.
We saw that in the trailer, yeah.
Yeah, to go through this, and that's cool. And then a police car tries to do that, and they just fall over.
And don't they go in on one set of wheels and then come out on the opposite set of wheels?
I think they might have.
I think they might have. That's in Las Vegas, yeah.
Lean over.
And then there's the moon stuff. That's
the moon stuff.
I think it's a wink and nod to that the moon landing was allegedly faked. And it's funny, at one point, Bond is hiding, and then cops run in, and they immediately find his hiding spot. They go, there he is, behind the rock! And I'm like, that is just, it's just, all of it is so funny.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, and we saw that in the trailer. I said, a great line. I didn't know there was a pool down there. The flaming shish kebabs. The only time we've seen Bond read it, but we had never seen it in a membership card for Playboy. And Tiffany Case finds it, and she says,
You just killed James Bond.
Is that who it was?
Quickly, because we are running low, I did just want to ask your quick opinion. You mentioned this before slightly, but Connery did return for this. Do you think this was a good fit for his final film? Because he didn't ever return officially to Bond after this. Or do you think it should have started for Roger Moore and then maybe even do one more for Lazenby?
I think, honestly, I think it was nice to have him come back for one last hurrah. I think this was nice. And
Diamonds are forever. They are all I need to please me. They can stimulate and tease me. They won't leave in the night. I've no fear that they might desert me.
last time we'd see Blofeld, Charles Gray really hammed it up.
Yeah.
He was a real hammy Blofeld. I don't know if I'd say he's the worst or not. I'd have to look back, but last appearance for Blofeld. Thanks, Kevin McClory. Rotten helping him.
Yeah.
Rest in peace if he's dead. He probably is.
I think he is. Yeah. And if Charles Gray looked familiar, I don't know if we got to him in the trailer or not, but if he sounds familiar and looks familiar, it's because he's that guy in the Rocky Horror Picture Show that says,
"Jump to the left."
Yeah, he's that guy, but we won't go into that. So we have come to the end of part one of our James Bond summer. Christy, thanks so much for coming on to the show and talking about it.
I'm very happy to be here.
Hopefully, I hope you come back for the other Bonds.
Sure.
That'd be really awesome to have you back. You know, you were on the radio show of this, so it's really great to have you on the TV version. And just like on the radio version, we played a little game at the end of the show, and we're going to play that game again. That game is Who Are You? Obviously know the rules of this game. I'm gonna play a clip from a show or a movie, and you have to tell me who it is and or what it is from. Very simple. So let's roll that clip.
Hi, George Newman, U62. Say, nice place you got here. You know, I was just thinking, since we're both in the business.
So, Christy, who is that and or what is it from?
I'd have to say, and this is, I really put a lot of thought into this just now, and you know, it's a very, you know, I really have a lot of confidence in this answer.
Who would that be?
It is a man in a comedy TV show.
I knew you were going to say that. That was his answer for everything. But do you have a name?
If I mean, I know this isn't the answer, but if I were to guess anything, I don't know, Seinfeld.
Seinfeld, okay. Seinfeld. Let's see if it's Seinfeld.
Hi, George Newman.
Oh,
U62.
it's not. It was actually Weird Al Yankovic from his one and only movie, UHF in 1989.
I remember that. I didn't see the movie, but I saw the music video too.
I just saw it recently for the first time. I actually liked it a lot. It's super weird, but it's fun. I highly recommend that. Also, I want to add a few quick extra things at the end here. If you love James Bond, I want to give a quick shout out for Calvin Dyson, Bond Reviewer on YouTube. He does a lot of great Bond stuff. Also to the Bond Bulletin YouTube channel, which is going to be doing a 60th anniversary documentary featuring some sound bites from me. So how cool is that? Also, if you want some more weird Bond stuff, I am actually writing a series of books called the 007 00 Soletti Missions, which are a series of books starring James Bond and his American sidekick, 00 Soletti. They're really fun. I've done audiobooks. They're all on the YouTube channel. Also, I want to give another quick shout out to my good bookstore friends Hannah and Gray for actually dropping off some of the footage you saw today. I had a family emergency that I had to take care of, so thank you for doing that. Thank you for helping me out. Thank you, Christy, for coming on to the show again. Yeah. Thank you to Matt for all the awesome tech guru wizardry you do. Yeah, I like the dancing in there, yeah. And my name is Daniel Saletti. Until part 2 of James Bond, this has been As the Reel Turns, that's a wrap.
And I wish I was James Bond, just for the day.